Shit. We're ready. Are you ready? Go for
You're ready
a
like
lap,
2
baby,
seconds
baby.
ago.
Go for a lap,
Put my left
baby,
that
baby.
time.
We're starting. That's it. I'm starting. I'm greeting you. Your problem is you don't know how to follow me when I'm leading you. Come on, girl. Oh, that is the beautiful music we just listening to about a while of a seconds a few ago. Decipher the English by yourself. Hi, now and you over to Kofo to Rela. How do you feel about this topic we want to talk about today?
Let's introduce. She will not introduce herself first.
Must we? By now they should know us. You don't know that if you don't know us, you know no person. You didn't know? You should know about us. You don't know KB. Helene or KB. Somebody KB. Somebody call
Oh, my name. I swear that was in my head. I'm not going to lie. It was in my head. So I didn't want to be the one because I'm like, but I was sick of what I again.
This I'm proud of you. You are a spirit.
Alright, so
When I sing today, I love it, dear.
is it the topic that is making you do juice?
No, dear, the topic is what that will make you do juice.
Anyway, hi guys. My name is Kofo Rolla. You know, K to the O to the F. I don't know why this is being very chaotic. I'm sorry.
But we are always chaotic, just in different ways.
Okay. But yeah, that's my name.
My name is B to the O to the M and the A. It's Boma, the voice of joy.
Nice.
Gen Zs will say purr. I don't know what that thing is. Purr. What's that?
Not period that they reduced to per.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm just saying no. I just before you call for me. I don't know. I don't know.
You don't want to be dragged again.
I only just realized that what's it called now? Reese. It's charisma. I only just realized that.
There's a Reese.
Yeah.
I really catch up late.
I'm
I'm always
Reese. Like you don't have because you don't have Reese. That's why they like you.
Is that
I don't know if
the
I mean it well too.
But how do they use it though?
After the episode, we're
You tell
gonna
me.
look for them. It's
Okay,
not me
great.
that will tell you. I could
You don't have
have.
to tell me.
I
You
don't know now.
You just know that it exists.
Yes, I know that
The
it
fact that you
exists.
know it exists. You're on the internet.
Did you know
a
that
lot.
dupe was duplicates?
And then nobody uses that. Come on, girl.
Dupe. Stanley. It's a Gen
Stanley
Z
does not know. That's the last
It's
thing
a Gen Z word. Like, oh, that dupe. Like, it's proper. It's like, it's in their
like
vocabulary.
in conversations, people
Yes.
are typing and they type this.
It's not people. It's Gen Z. Don't as
Gen Z people.
Please, we have more
So
important
sorry, guys.
things to talk about
We
today.
do be distract.
We know that when you say the episode, you're hearing something in the song. Let's talk about. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about.
Drum roll. S-E-X. Sex.
Are you spelling it like for the avoidance of doubt?
No. Yes, so that they're very sure. Also for the people that cringe every time the word is pronounced. People that say things like consummate to avoid
No,
using the word.
coitus. But do you know that interestingly, for a very, very, very long time, I have found it difficult to say the word sex. Like, I don't know what.
Like, you found it difficult, like in your adult life.
Even as
that
an adult, like I'm like,
to
talk about. It's just not.
What's
it needs
holding
to come. You know the way they
What's
used to
holding it
censor.
back?
You know they used to censor the word as well when you're listening.
Okay,
so that's how
okay.
it felt like my mouth just used to censor. Like they are having. So I now use. I rather say like sexual intercourse. So I think I'm a mini Sheldon. But I like the coitus. But you know the funny thing that we're not even talking about like
we're talking
acts.
about sex in the way that it is. However you decide to decipher it is up to you, right?
No, Mom.
Yes, we are. Because it's still sex at the end of the day. It's more like saying, and you're a lawyer, you should be in court, you say, Hamago for, Hamago against. It's still the
so
same
it's sex.
thing.
So whether.
So
let me even put this out there and
say out there.
Out there.
It's so posh. Oh my God.
And I'm putting it this. Boma.
I love it.
I'm putting this out there because this. So just a big disclaimer. This is not a judgmental episode in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sorry, I disagree. If this is your first time, that's why you would think this is anything like that, because anybody who's been following us
let's assume that we're going to have new listeners. So we will have
new listeners.
Okay, Because we know that we have new listeners,
Now
the
give them.
disclaimer is important. So we're not
Great.
here to judge, and we understand that our positions may not be fashionable, but may not be what you think. Like, it's okay to disagree. We agree. In fact, Boma and I would probably not see eye to eye on even the same topic. So it's fine. You get it. You shouldn't talk about it.
And we are supposed to see you based on children of Jesus Christ, our Lord and personal Savior. But we shall see about that. As we journey along the road is so narrow. I'm so sorry. I'm back. Yeah.
Confession. And it is a problem because of the topic. My mind is going to places it shouldn't go to.
Hey!
Because when you were singing and you said you wrote this.
Oh my God! Kofo! We should end this episode right now. You're so annoying. What? How did you get there? Now I sanctify you. I baptize you. Holy is the Lord of your life.
This episode, I'm going to talk.
Me, God, I want to talk.
So please, I'm sorry. I may say some things that you don't want to hear as children of God.
That was
I'll
harsh.
talk. But just a little bit of background as well. You know, I know I've introduced myself before, but beyond our podcast.
I'm the one that will tell them this thing you want to say.
Yeah, tell them.
Yes, much best. So, in case of not today, I'm really not going to be able to purchase English in my speechography for you people. So you will need a dictionary to help you. Do you understand this? Because the talk that is on ground, is heavy. Understand me? And I will need you to prepare your hearts because this is a word for the season. Shanda. Coming to you hot from this podcast of Flow with KB. Now, as you are looking at this princess, this queen over here, Kofrola, she do call herself Dear Kofrola on the internet, Twitter,
because I'm a
Instagram.
darling.
Oh my goodness. So there's this thing Kofo does, right? Kofo loves to write, Kofo loves to read, and she do have something like this. That first time I saw this thing, guys, you know how you are partner with somebody, but we all have different facets of our lives, and then she started this, and I was like, I read the first one, like, sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. I will not message this girl. Jump and pass. Second article. Temptation. I will not message this girl. And then I just stopped reading for like a while because
what's triggering
I'm
you?
like, it wasn't just triggering. I wanted to call you and say, what are you saying? Some I'm like, I didn't agree. But okay. Let me just first sit down and take it in. You know that thing about listen before you speak? Sometimes read before you respond also.
That was a rema.
Wise, intelligent.
You do wise. It do come on you.
It do come on me. You are getting it. Anyway, so Kofo has this article, and I dare say it's now a community, so to speak. Yeah. And thing is, there'll be a lot of people that would even be part of that community that you will not know about.
Oh, definitely.
That would never reach out, that would never be able to even get in touch with you. Because again, it's being shared, by different people on different platforms. And you know how the socials can be, right? It's called Celibros.
And Celibacy.
And it's born and carved out from the word celibacy.
So just to also, before we go on, right? When I started writing the article,
I was going to ask, right? So the first thing you wrote when you were going to the day you put it in your WhatsApp status was, so there's this thing that's been, I remember that. So there's this thing that's been on my mind for such a long time and haven't gone through a lot of experiences in my short time here. You know when you're writing, I used to say, wow, people wondering, they're really taking the girl sense now reading this thing. It's so coupled together. Oh my god, the battle, she don't okay. What a shock.
I don't like it.
Anyway, so Kofo was like, and I just think that a lot of people out there, because from conversation I can tell that a lot of people want to talk about these things, and some things that are not right, they're not morally right, but we've made right, and then she goes, so she's going to be doing a series, an article where it's going to be called I don't even think you had named it that.
It was Dear Celebrate Brothers and Sisters.
Exactly, it was later.
That I changed to Celebrate and Celibacy.
What got you to that point? Because obviously it's been a conversation in your mind for a while. Because I know you've brought it up once or twice in conversation over the years, not even now. So what finally plunged you to that point? You're like, I want to talk about this to the world.
Again, this is me asking for permission to speak freely.
Speak
I
freely,
want
my
to
dear.
speak freely.
Sorry, boy,
You know what I'm saying? So if you're like,
this is PG. This episode is rated PG.
It's not PG,
It's
it's
not
18.
PG.
If you know 16. PG 16.
Because 16 years children now, they are according to
15
25.
self. But you know what? If you think anybody should listen to it,
To
by
be
all
honest,
means. But before
yeah.
I go on, I'm aware that celibacy does not actually mean what, I put it as. Celibacy means after you told yourself that you don't want to have sex, you don't want to marry. That's actually what celibacy
In
is.
dictionary
meaning. But like for the purpose of the conversations
Yeah.
and my article, celibacy is abstinence, really. But
Not
I think it's just
necessarily not wanting to ever
yeah,
get
not
married.
necessarily not wanting to get married. So just so that you know, so I don't really say you're celibate, but just so,
So we're basically picking one part of the definition.
yeah, so people
Okay.
not come at me and say. So now,
I'm a marry, more worry. We will marry, my
so back
friends.
to your question. This
Right.
is it. So we all know now. We all grew up in church. You grew up in church.
No,
We-
not all of us. but
most of us grew up in church. The idea of sex was just painted as it's bad.
It's a no-no.
It's a danger zone.
Oh,
In fact,
you are
you
destroyed.
agree with me, especially millennials. I don't think Gen Zs grew up with that, but if you did, your parents would tell you growing up, if a man should in the least just touch you, parents,
Twins.
pregnancy. If a guy you
Twins.
sit down on somebody's laps, pregnancy, So there
Crime.
was just that fear about sex,
Yeah.
instilled in us as kids, as children, as teenagers.
With zero knowledge.
Zero knowledge, zero, and many of us had a lot of whys, had a lot of this thing is not adding up. But it touched me, it brought me. This uncle hits me, but I didn't get pregnant. So are you lying to me? So there were just a lot of questions in the air. Then we grow up, we go to uni, or even in your home church, you find how in teenagers class they just broach the topic like it's just high level summary. They don't go in there. So you're telling me don't, but you never say why. But some of us just grew up with that notion that sex is bad, sex before marriage is a no, and we ran with it. Then you go into the university and you begin to see things. You begin to see people that you maybe even look up to engaging in sex and still preaching in church the next Sunday, and you're confused. But at home they told me this is bad, but this person is really no consequences, no pregnancy, even if they might have been, but you did not see it because they've have go. But
did you just describe losing baby and
yes, Ray Dan, was it Wade Dan Roy? I'll be Roy Dan. What's that thing?
Oh my God, keep going.
So okay. So because I grew up that way, I was so protective of oh my God, no sex before marriage. No, not if I don't nothing, don't hug me, don't kiss me. I was so I was like that. Life happens. How life happens.
I don't know life happens.
I don't know about you, but life happened. I remember one of the articles I wrote when someone was sharing a story with me.
Episodes.
Yes, one of the celibates. Someone sharing a story with me, and she said that contrary to what they teach you in church, sex is sweet. Oh, don't go. I'm not gonna look for it. I'm not joking, because they make you look like it's a forbidden food. Like if you engage in it like this, but you're like it's an enjoyable experience, right? So you're telling somebody don't do it. Well, I did it and I enjoyed myself. So what was the need that you're really telling me
almost
not to
like
do?
Even sometimes when people find themselves in that position, from conversations with people, you'd realize that there's an expectation to hate it or to come out of it feeling bad. You come out of it and there's even
when you're feeling bad, then you not remember that. And I'm like, you smile like. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying.
More guilt. It's not bad for action performed.
The action. Never gonna say that.
That's bad. Because if somebody had told you that, look, you would enjoy it, but these are the repercussions after, it would make more sense.
Even sometimes good, the enjoyment outweighs the repercussions.
Sorry.
Let me continue. Boma, let's not derail.
I will deal with this after the camera go off. It's outweigh.
So. And another thing people don't tell you enough, and someone told me years ago, but I didn't believe. Right. I think I was 22 at that time. She was older. She was 28 at that time. And so I used to hear people say, oh, I'm horny, I'm feeling somehow. I know what it is. We know what ovulation is. We all did it in biology. But I
To
didn't
relate
understand.
to
I couldn't
it.
relate. She
Like
was
the
like,
practicality of it.
how old are you? And she's like, don't worry. Wait till you get to a certain age. I was like, no, kirika, kirika.
Ooh la la. La la.
I got to a certain age. I'm not even gonna lie. I got to that age. And he showed me Pepe.
Again, say after me, Shanda.
So, and this is the thing, I got to a certain, so, because again,
Pepe.
your body, even if you do not want
For
to
no
do
reason,
it, your body is your
unprovoked.
body. God, when it was molding us, you know, when it was carrying us from Adam's rib, and it was molding us, he molded that place very delicately because he knows. So I got to that age, and I was struggling. Badly.
Hey.
I think when I mean struggling, I was struggling. And it felt like church did not feel like a safe space. Then until one day I even asked the question, okay, well, Christian brothers and sisters, when this thing is waking you up in the middle of the night and your body is ding, how do you cope? What do you do? Because I knew that I didn't want to have sex at that time. So what do you do?
So wait, so there were two things. You knew you didn't want to have sex.
Yes, I knew,
but
I knew the response to it was sex. No.
Great.
But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your body was acting entirely different from what you knew as a truth in your mind.
I knew that I did not want to have
it's possibility. So there's a possibility. Hold on. What's it? So it's possible. And I say it again.
It's possible.
English is not for me today. I told you people. So there's a possibility for those two things to exist.
Definitely now.
Don't say definitely.
No,
I'm saying it because there's a mindset that you cannot
not have sex.
No, you cannot desire not to have sex, and your body feels like having sex.
Okay, that's that.
No, I'm saying it to set people free. Because it's a mentality that certain people have. Like, if I tell my body, if I tell my mind, which is good to confess these things, but I needed to just impute that before you go, because I feel like as you're speaking freely, but there'll be moments where, you know, we have to kind of just pause and pick out these lessons and talk about. Because for me, when you said, literally, I know that I don't want to do this thing. It's not like I don't feel like doing it. I know, I really don't want to do it, because a lot of people have found themselves in that place and they've gone ahead to do it, and there's a lot of regret and they can't get out from it.
I don't blame you. She went there because
you understand
all
how
that I said. The body will be on when your body's on the way sometimes.
Basically, no.
And the truth is, I also think I think the intensity varies. Some months or some weeks are better than some weeks. But there's some, I said this thing woke me up in the middle of the night. And if my only anger, I said, God, if you don't do something about this thing, I'll go and do what you don't want me to do. I'm not even joking. I'm not
the threatening God.
No, but you reach, because I was praying. More what something, whether you're about something, hanky, answer. He was not doing. I was saying, no, don't do it. I was being nice. He was not doing. But this time around, I had to be like, see. And okay, in the spirit of speaking freely, I'm going to say something. Going to say something so that we're being free.
Yeah. We're being vulnerable. Open.
It's fine. Like, carry the matter anywhere. I also noticed that prior to my engaging in certain sexual activities, I was fine.
Yes!
I was. That's why maybe that was the period I said I wasn't feeling like I knew that there was horniness, but it wasn't hitting me. The moment it became a bane of my existence, the thorn in my flesh was after engaging in certain things. And I keep
No, because I'm not
say something like, you know, even when you grow up and you read all those moves and booms and you watch certain movies, you can't see it. You can't even imagine it. But you've not experienced it. So
stay with you.
Or even if it stays, you can't marry your imagination with your reality like that. I don't know how to explain it.
In terms of the practicality of
but
it.
You've engaged, right? So when you're now imagining it,
you're
taking it back. So you're drawing back on that experience. When you feel this way, you can remember when you know sounds. Let's move on.
I don't really think that thing you say now. It sounds like wobbly.
I don't want us to focus on that. But that was it. So now moving on. So I was having these episodes like a whole lot, and I put it on my status one day many years ago. So I'm like, pray. I said, I'm
don't
not
think I knew
praying.
that?
You think prayer is not the first point of call? I did not pray need, and I'm asking questions. I'm angry, like, say, pray about it. I prayed about it. It's in the prayer I told God that you don't carry it away. I was praying about it.
So this is where you and I are going to have a lot of
Let's
drag
go.
and push.
I
but
prayed about it.
continue.
Someone said,
Pause
go for
first.
exercise, run. I do exercise. Sometimes go exercise with what's think God, what's happening. So it felt like I didn't have that because my community had not expanded in terms of the Christian community. So it felt like I didn't have that safe space to come and say, you people, this is really what's going on. I felt like I was alone. I know sometimes the devil imputes shame when you are isolated, when you feel alone. But imagine you have other Christians that you're saying, babe, not be you. So when I started finding that community, people were like, it's not what it's doing me. Like, yeah, it's not. So first of all, I had to know that I was normal. Like, it was okay that it was happening. Like, I was feeling the way I was feeling. It was okay. So when I established that it was okay, I was like, okay, great. So I found what worked for me eventually. I'm not going to say I did not still have moments. It always comes up to today. It will always come. But it was okay. But I kept wondering that, why is it that I had to run through 7 seas, go through 7 mountains to get to where I am? Why are people not talking about these things in church? Like, why is church not the first point of call? And people gave me different things. Someone told me point blank, said, Kofo, the reason why people are not talking about this is because they are engaging it in themselves. You can't condemn what you are engaging in. And the church, shots fired. The church is one of the biggest. I'm sorry, and the bigger, like, the leadership, they are trying, but you can only parish people that want to be parished. You can do everything. You can teach and teach, but people will still be people. People will still do what they want to do. So yes, the church tries. Maybe the church can do a lot of things better. They can stop sugarcoating it, and brother and sister, they will not call vagina what vagina is. They'll say that thing. Call its names. Cookie. Please call the things the way it is.
Like, it's a part of the body.
You know, go to his cookie jar. Don't allow a man take your cookie. Your flour is what they use. You've been naming it names that
PA, bring me bottle water. On your own need it. She's
you've been naming it names that it's not named. Call it what it is.
That's Rema. I will not be called the name. That's not the name my father's called me.
Only flour. Like, I want to talk. It's not flour. It's not feeling like flour. When the going is come, it's not feeling like very flowery. It gets.
Okay, hold on, Kofo. I want to ask you another question.
You to answer. Why? But yeah, I've not really landed on why. So all
this is you said not landed.
No. On the, like, so that was the driver to start writing about it. That, you know what? And
to help others.
Not to say that even in writing it, there are days like I've gone through my struggle. I've finished going through a struggle. I will still put out an episode. I know. And the devil will be like, this one, I'll still put it because
yes, girl.
We're plenty.
Yes,
I'm not only helping myself. Yes. I can't, because I'm struggling, not help another person.
It's not even a criteria to stop.
Understand? Yeah. So I will still put it. I told myself one day that I know that that's not the plan. But if peradventure I fall and I even decide to even have sex, I'll still write on Dear Celibacy and Celibacy. Not because the worst thing you can do to yourself is stay back. I've had sex now. God hates me. One thing someone is sharing a story, one thing she said, which was so profound. She said that when she finished having sex and she was going home, she was like, hey, God. And she was feeling bad. God was like, you're not, I think your fear of punishment is greater than, like, your fear of punishment is greater than your idea of my love for you.
Yeah.
Like, you're so fixated on how God will punish me now for having sex, as opposed to,
which is why we repeat it over and over again.
As opposed to, oh my God, I just broke God's heart. Like, God is like, don't think about the fact that I'm going to punish you. Think about the fact that what you just did broke my heart.
Yes.
Right.
When you see me first from the place of love, it's easier not to hurt my feelings. But when you're expecting punishment, what that does is, if you punish me now, I can feel good about the bad I've done. Because
exactly. Now you punish.
So now there's more room and leeway for me to do
That's
it again.
Rema.
That's it.
And something I wanted to tell someone that just dropped in my head was, don't allow anybody shame you because you had sex.
For your journey.
Don't allow anybody, if tomorrow, even if you are a known prostitute, and tomorrow you decide that, okay, you want to change your ways and you're preaching against it.
You are allowed to change.
Don't allow anybody, because the truth is, see, what I found, I know I'm being kinny, what I found in my adult years, people lie and pretend a lot. I think people are so dishonest.
No,
People
lie
are
to
very,
you.
very, I'm serious, people are very, very dishonest. And they make you feel like you're the worst person on
Sorry
earth.
about-
Meanwhile,
sorry
what
about
they're
that.
doing in their closet, it's only God that is seeing them.
But
So don't allow,
you already told us that he's the only one that know the art of
and
marriage.
don't allow anybody to shame you. You can decide that today, if you decide today that I want to be celibate, and tomorrow you fall, it's between you and your God. Don't let anybody shame you. I'm not encouraging
So
nonsense.
I want to complete that statement. If you have sex today and tomorrow you decide you want to be celibate, don't let anybody shame you, but go back to that place of deciding that you don't want to have sex. As many times, my phenomenon is, regardless of
that
how many
phenomenon.
times, my dear, okay, regardless of how many times
I'm
you
sorry.
find yourself in a
Philosophy.
space where you fall, right? Never stop trying to get back to that place of the decision that you made. And that's the trick. The trick is we get to the place. I was talking to my dad one time and he said something to me. He said, our problem is if we had the same consistency power that the devil had, we would not be having as many wars or fights as we have. He tires out too. He's very consistent. He's so consistent that when you win him now and you relax, Baba is re-strategizing
What did the Bible say now? If you cast out one, you go back with seven.
Do you understand?
And come back.
Legions will, literally come back into you. So for me, it's like, if that's really what you desire, because what I find out from conversations is a lot of people feel like, I've tried so hard in different ways and I cannot just seem to stop. This keeps happening so it's like, I say I'll not follow this kind of man, I'll not find a God man. I'll say I'll not follow this kind of man, I'll not find another guy, it will happen. And I'm like, you don't stop. You know why? So there's this analogy, right? I saw my pastor demonstrate once during a service. A bowl, empty bowl, a glass cup, a bottle of Coke, a bottle of water, and then she poured the water, let's say half of the cup, and then she poured Coke, and then she kept pouring Coke. When she started pouring the Coke, there wasn't much happening with the water and the Coke. You could still see that there's water present, but there's now something that is
Diluted.
changing the color of the water. But the more Coke she kept pouring, the more the water kept losing its essence and identity in that Coke, till it faded out and all that was left was Coke. Now, I bet you that if I taste it, I'll be able to tell that something is off with the Coke because there's now water. You know how when we drink ice, when you freeze a drink,
okay,
when you drink it, it's like you've taken all the sugar.
Yeah.
The rest, when it dissolves, is not as sweet again. Like that first gulp you take from it. Exactly. So that's how it would taste. But looking at it, it really didn't look like just Coke. If I don't pick it, I can't know what the taste is. That's number one. Number two, then we now did it the other way where we started to pour water into a already full glass of Coke mixed with a little bit of water. And again, the Coke started losing its identity back to what it used to be. And what that taught me is that process might have been 5 minutes, but that's our life. I just need to keep on feeding my spirit, feeding myself with the same confessions, regardless of how many times. You will not know when it will change or when sex will become nothing. So long as you have that mindset and you have that fight and you keep at it, that I really do want to be celibate. So now, pouring the water in the Coke to dilute that darkness out, or that thought or that imagination, and this is not even me being spiritualist, taking practical steps and sticking to it even when you fall.
Do you know why I like what you said? I have a friend, a male friend. I have to say male because every time I speak to guys, even guys in church, because those ones, they don't come out hand for it to reconcile heavenly race. They make it seem, most of them, some of them.
How many do you know in life?
They make it seem as if, Kofo, you can't understand, as guys, sex is this, sex is that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. This is my friend. I'll send this to him. Like, I'm really, really proud of him. We met at a time. Well, we didn't meet when he started a celibacy journey, but shortly after we met, he started a celibacy journey. And this was someone that was very, very notorious.
Like outside.
If you see him, Boma, you know those guys that look very unassuming, nothing.
He do something.
You say it's cool. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So that's how I get high. I'm like, wow. Anyways,
But
when it started the journey, right? And of course, it was hard. It had times when he fell, he didn't fall like necessarily to sex, but it fell to masturbation. He had some things like that. And I think for him, because what he was doing as well was, like you said, it was building his relationship with God. Before then, this person telling me that, I'm spiritual. You know, the people that say I'm just spiritual, but they're not Christians. But it took active steps into finding God for himself. And now, like, in fact, now I would call it like pastor. It's like, hey, we know where you're starting from and all of that. So I'm just saying, this, like you said, it's doable. Yeah. Will you fall? Will you struggle? Yes. It's hard. Like, yes. I try to say that, forget that I'm writing the thing as well. Like, which is why I like sharing people's stories, and I ask them, what are you struggling with? What is the biggest obstacle to your celibacy journey? Many people tell you, it's pornography for me. Right. Another one is masturbation for me. Right. It's kinikon for me. Everyone is struggling, but the thing is, you know that you're struggling, but you also know that you're on a journey to being a better version of yourself. To that
person you want to become.
In fact, to mention, this is my friend, right, that started, when he started the celibacy journey, for him, it was a case of willpower. Why is sex stronger than me? Actually, it was not the Christian thing at all. Yeah. It was pride. There's a bit of pride. Like, what do you mean?
God
sex, who are you? Like, please, I'm bigger than you. That's where it came from. It was just more like, he wanted to do this for just 1 year. That was what he told me. Like, I just want to do it for 1 year to show sex that I have control over it. Right. That's where God arrested him from. But I'm just saying that if in quotes, what's it called now? In his not so churchy mind, he knew that he could overcome that. Then how much more you that you're a Christian, who is a believer, and you have the Spirit of God. Again, I'm not saying, because let's not lie, let's not steal, you know. There are some days that you are even in that place. You're about to even off clothes. And the Holy Spirit is telling you, no. And you're like, I know I should not do this thing.
For those of you that, you say something told me.
Okay, your spirit, your conscience something is telling you that mind was you shouldn't be here.
Mind.
So I'm even going far. The moment you're leaving your house to go and visit the guy, or when you're trying to entertain the guy,
that conversation says plan the meeting.
In your heart of that you ought not to.
We always
let's even agree.
King James Kofo, we ought not to tarry.
Let's even agree that, okay, let's say the guy even comes to your house, or you go to his house. You are talking. You know that the conversation is moving to a
chair 1 to chair 2.
But again, so, I don't know. And please, maybe I'm the only one, but this is me. I know. My spirit is telling me, you know you shouldn't be in that. Okay, you won't ignore, you move. You now start kissing or making out. Your spirit is still telling you,
like, you can stop at this point.
You can still stop. You know, it's still okay to
this
stop.
Is still okay.
You still say, but you keep moving. You know that up until the moment you finally do it, your spirit or something
fully aware,
always telling you
in your head
that you ought not to. And some days we are the ones really that say that, you know what, I did hear you, but
I beg, I can't help myself.
Don't come around on my parade.
And I think for me, every time I hear that line, I can't help myself. What I'm really hearing is I have zero control over my life. My life and everything that my body feels dictates to me what I should do. And that's, for me, it's a very dangerous way to live, because I went through something similar last year. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, what happened last year was God was showing me that this strength that you always had, that you thought, because for me, it's like, I'm not an emotional person. I'm not a touchy feeling person. And this is not a statement of pride. It's just my makeup. So I've never been I'm dating, I want to touch. It's the last thing that ever comes to my mind in intimacy, right? For me, it's like, it's not something I even enjoy or think about. You know, when you fall, that time in secondary school, everybody they kiss, you go kiss. I'm like, my goodness, exchange of saliva. God, please.
Now us, it's always us. I'm like, oh my God,
you know why?
You know,
because when you say that, what the devil is hearing is, this is somebody that has the opportunity to walk with God in a way that can ruin my mission on earth. So before you get to that point where you are strong and you're good enough, I need to get you to my side. And the problem with people like us is guilt is what the devil really uses. It's not even the act. We stay in guilt so much because it's almost like, how could I? How can I? Why did that? The questions that are unending. And I'm saying this because there are people listening that are in that space right now, that are in that journey of guilt, right?
Like, I'm not trying to say you're gonna read I'm not trying to advertise the medium or something.
I'm advertising it.
But there is actually one particular one that
pause. I hate reading. When I say I hate, it's very weird because you need to read to progress in life. And I'm saying this generally, I hate reading, any reading of any sort, ask for, I will send a VN for a 10-second message. If I can send VN to say good morning, literally, then type it in those 2 seconds. But I want to say I read it out of curiosity the first time, and I was hooked. For somebody that doesn't like reading, I skim read. I can't, no, I don't have time, right? But I read it and it really did bless me.
Oh,
right?
you never told me. You never told
I will
me.
not tell you
Can
that.
you imagine? Now, person will know you, they do you. I'm money
But I'm telling you
shiny.
publicly.
I'm money shiny.
And I'm
All
telling
that
the
Yoruba.
world about it. So I'm selling it to anybody on the celibacy journey, anybody who wants to start a celibacy journey, anybody who has started and has fallen multiple times and just doesn't know how to get out of it. It would be great to read those articles, because what
I
you
go
would
back
do
to
is
it all the time.
you
I
understand?
write them.
You know, you
but
put the links up whenever you.
I write them, but I go back to it. And again, in the spirit of speaking,
It's so
we're
good.
speaking freely, right?
Yeah.
As we're talking. I remember the first time I ever kissed. I was 18.
You always have dates.
My mother,
and
I'm very,
timelines.
very.
I know you're particular about
I
those
was
things.
18 years old. I remember that day. In fact, as if knife was going through my tummy. I was in the house. I was washing plates. If I remember, I would fall. I'm like, my chest, my tummy. I was like, I was.
And I know that it's true because I know you.
Then many months, years later, I kissed again.
You don't choke you.
But I'm not feeling. Why am I not feeling the choking? I'm like, as the Holy Spirit departed from me, I'm not feeling. Because I wanted to feel that.
Almost like you want to test a theory.
I wanted to feel it. Like I wanted to feel that guilt. That was the day I knew that I was gone. I was like, that day, I was in my room. I said, Kofo, fuck shit, you're gone. You're a goner. Like, you don't feel nothing.
If you don't get back,
you don't feel nothing. I
said, go where
I was
you
like,
do.
God, I'm still here. In case you fuck out. Because, like, I was like, no.
Oh my goodness.
I kept checking.
I feel good about it.
I'm not begging.
I feel good about
to do
it.
it more. Like, you don't get it. I'm not. See, let's talk. I wanted, in fact, I was like,
it would be nice.
And some days, you even don't want to feel that guilt so that you can do what you want to do.
Sometimes you feel the guilt and you tell the guilt to take a back seat.
When you,
like
the day after some episode, I called, something happened, and I called the person. I'm like, are we children? In my head, I'm like, when you're talking, my head like, for you too.
He's talking through
He's talking through you. I'm like, what's your problem, man? It happened, okay, all right, so move on. Like, why are you behaving weird? I'm like, me. It's me that's telling somebody that, I think very mature,
you can just do it and then begin to press laptop.
Like, why you we had fun. No. Why are you being weird? Why are you being weird about it?
There's no need for that.
You know what I'm saying?
Mature over here. But I mean, the crux for me of this episode, putting it out there, and you had mentioned that we should do this, and I said, for me, I'm very, for the word for an appointed time is something that's played out in my life a lot. And even in this podcast, I don't know if you notice, sometimes we really want to talk about stuff we never do at the time, and then we eventually do, and months down the line we realize why it was important for us to do it. So I believe that us recording this now, and the timeline that it's going to go out for people to see it is going to be exactly when it needs to go out.
But even us.
My God!
Even us.
God is like,
I'm always I'm not gonna lie, it's a continuing struggle.
Yes.
And before we close, there's something I want us to really touch about, and I'm going to ask a question to you. When I speak to a lot of people that celibate, they've said they're celibate, they're studying from sex, but they're masturbating on a steady, and I'm like, but you're not so how long have you been celibate? Actually, I had a conversation with someone. Sorry.
Do quick. I can track your week.
I'm sorry. So I'm like, how long have you been celibate? Like, like a year, 6 months. I'm like, cool. So are you struggling with anything else? I masturbate once in a while. I'm like, then you've not been celibate. Oh, but no, I've not had sex. I'm like, but you've not. Like, guy, sis, you're still being pleasure. Like, some people can go years without sex, but are being constantly satisfying their sexual needs through masturbation. So the question is, do you think, masturbation, when you're saying, do you think it counts when you're saying you're celibate? Like, is it okay to masturbate in your celibacy journey?
I'm asking the Holy Spirit to bridle my tongue.
Say that, bread.
Because, not bridle, bridle it.
With
When
what
you
tongue?
What about my tongue? Sorry? What do you mean by I'm celibate but I masturbate? I'm celibate but I watch porn. So we need to understand first that sex is a thing of the mind before it's a thing of the body.
Sorry. Before you continue, I want to just before you continue, you know that people being celibate is also typically also for two things. Some people are on a journey to sexual purity. Like Christian, they want to do the sexual purity, so they want to be total abstinence. Some people, like my friend, like that, my friend, just want to say that I'm bigger than sex.
Some people it's just controlling whatever.
I will have friends that tell me that when they want to get something from God, they go on sex fast, so they're celibate, and they feel like their prayers are answered. They're not Christians, but they know. I'm not joking. They told me that when they get something from God, they just abstain from sex so they can pray.
Sometimes it's not even get. I have people who have said when they're on a project, right? They want to achieve something.
They want
important.
to focus.
Do you understand? Maybe you're going on this journey, you want to make some money, that they abstain from all their sexual partners. This is how they put it, all their sexual partners, right? So what that tells me is that you are aware what sex does outside of the confines of marriage, right? But you're using it for temporary fixes, one way or another. So that person is very aware, but is choosing to have sex. So sex has become more of an exchange, more like a commodity, more like currency.
I know.
Do you understand? I have sex to pleasure myself. I need God. I stop from sex because now God look at me. So you're trying to dribble God. Transactional. Do you understand? Which is just very hilarious because this is the person who literally knows your end from your beginning. So what are we doing?
Don't lose your train of thought.
No. I wouldn't. So to answer your question, no, that's not celibacy, because the person the what's it called now? The projection of watching pornography, masturbating is literally, whether you like it or not, eventually, if you ever, because the idea of celibacy is, I won't speak for you, I'll speak for myself. What sitting down and really being celibate in terms of putting plans and purposes and everything in place, what it does for you is it builds strength and capacity on your inside. Because now you're fasting from many things. I won't involve myself in certain conversations, even if it's banter. I won't involve myself in certain environments, even if it's cruise or vibes. I'm sorry, I won't. Simply because one thing I've realized is when I went back to trace why I made the mistakes I made, there were conversations that happened 4 months before whatever happened. What was happening that conversation was a seed.
What happened?
Go for focus, okay? There's no time. We have to round off, all right? They should come to the next episode.
I was really feeling.
No, they should come to the next episode.
The next episode.
They will hear it. Testimony, right? So, I've also heard people's testimony. I'll use, there's no time, but my pastor, used to masturbate, and he talks about it. He's testified about it. How it was a thing that he battled with for so long, and he will tell you
even after marriage.
Yes. What's wrong with you? I've heard stories. So this is not a case of when people tell me I can't. I don't know how to. There is no way. What you're telling me is that you truly are just not ready to do what it takes because it's hard. And I tell people, every bad habit is an addiction. The reason it's a bad habit is because you can't stop yourself. It's an addiction. When we see withdrawal symptoms, you see those, that some people die from withdrawal. Like I was reading recently, like cocaine, all this with that, they literally die during withdrawal sometimes if it's not properly managed. Because they have to be in hospital, they have to be running IVF drips. They say they literally get, like, there are points where they get to that their mental, whatever, breaks down and they're losing it. Some of them are screaming. Their bodies really can't take that. They're not getting that fix. So if you've put yourself in that place where, sex was what you were doing, what you're simply doing is you're substituting cocaine for weed or tobacco, which is still hard drugs. Your body is still getting what it needs.
Getting high.
It's still getting high, just not at the magnitude that it's used to, but it is still a fix. Celibacy is saying, I want my body to be an entirely different person, aligned with my mind and my spirit, as opposed to being separate and causing a constant struggle, right? So for me, I don't see how. And what that does, Kofo, is eventually you have that sex.
Oh, you
I
will.
bet it is you. You will. You can't eat your cake and have it. You can't, because you're still opening your mind to imaginations. And don't forget, you've had sex. You know what it feels like. You know what it is. Then you're masturbating. My question when people tell me that masturbation is about thoughts, right? You're thinking something.
Do you know, I don't want like being from the thought. When you masturbate, you get orgasm now. No, as in, what are we saying? But like,
And that's what you get from sex.
So someone told me that sex is two-bodied, like two, you're partnered up, but masturbation is by yourself, and you're like, but there's sin against itself too now.
Yeah.
But I'm not even trying to like go into the spiritual. My own point is, if you
You're
get the
getting
same, what am I even saying? If the people in the world know that masturbation is bad, so there's a program on Netflix called Singles in Pharaoh or something. So they bring together sexually depraved people, for lack of a better word, 20 people, 10 men and 10 women, and the instruction is simple.
Okay.
No sex, no dry humping, no masturbation,
Nothing around that.
at all, no kissing for is it a month or 30 days to win $100,000 for you to see how powerful sex is. You know that $100,000 is at stake.
But yet you still feel
Some of them will be crying. No, I'm not giving cookie. It's on Netflix. Me, Paragon, and watch it. And the thing is, if one person in the group gets it, everybody fails. So that's the problem. People will be legit, because the point is for them to show that you have control. They want them to form connections with people, real connections devoid of sex and all of those things.
Sex brings
people. Some people leave their house. I've watched one person say, "I'm sorry,
I can't do this.
I can't do it. I go."
That's it.
So if the people of the world, in quotes, know that, because they could have included masturbation now. It could have included kissing and drink
as a way out.
But if they know that it's just
the same
also
thing,
fixing, they make you, then why are you trying to rationalize this thing with me? I'm not, and this is not a call
not a judgment.
Exactly.
It's just for clarity.
Know what we are doing.
No, it's clarity.
Exactly. Let's clarify. So it means
we can call it what it is.
It means that if you've been celibate for 2 years, like you've not had sex for 2 years, but in those 2 years you were heavily masturbating, let me break it to you. You've not been celibate.
No. You're on your way to celibacy.
Okay. I like that. You're on your way, because you've tried.
Yes.
You've tried.
So you stayed away from one,
one.
right? And this is why you're struggling so badly. You're doing it alone.
Yeah, many people. I don't know why many people shy away from accountability.
How many people do you talk to, Kofo, to be honest? This, because I'm thinking of in my head now the people that I've spoken to, my friends, my guys, people have heard their stories. When they say they left sex to pornography or masturbation, it's something that they decided that since I can't do this, I have to do it on my own, right? It's more like a personal decision.
Yeah.
So do it with a community.
Proper community, not
the right community.
Not community that will shame you.
Accountability, yes. People that will hold you responsible to your decision.
Because of time,
yeah.
I'll say something else, but I could say that sometimes, right, the obstacle to some of your resolve is also the community around you. It's very hard. Like, it's hard. Just imagine.
It's hard enough.
Okay,
already.
you don't drink, you don't take drugs, but you're always mingling with people that do this thing day in. Let me say, they live in your house. You people are room. You
go out together. Those are your community.
Out. You keep saying you don't. One day, some people say, "Hey, I've been there for years. Never happened to me." That's fine. Some people are just blessed of God. The Holy Spirit has maybe guarded you. But one day,
disagree.
Sometimes
other things are seeping in.
Sometimes
we express in different ways.
You need to know, like, be true to yourself. You know what is giving you that, what is wahala, what is causing. There was the time that I didn't even used to watch cartoon that people were kissing for almost 2 or 3 years, because, like I said, I was struggling.
Yeah.
I was struggling. I cannot lie.
Badly.
I did not watch. Even anything that they just mistakenly click, I don't know, any small thing was going to trigger me.
Another thing our parents do, where they pause, they tell you to, when they say, "Mommy, close your eyes." I do it now.
As an adult,
I do it now by myself.
I don't do it now, but that period,
I do it
all the time. I was clean. I cleared out my cabinets. I cleared out everything. I would not have watched a Bridgerton in that period, because I knew that if I did. And even when I started watching, I started feeling like,
you can go back there.
I even went back and I said, I introduced some of these things back. Again. I said also now, that's not something, I just watch comedy. Let me just be laughing. Because
Lord,
what's doing me,
action.
I can laugh and sleep off.
Let's
you
be
know,
shooting.
I get bored so easily. So let me watch what to make me be bored. I will sleep. You know, by the time you're watching romance, as much as I like romance, but sometimes I run, like I flee. So you know some of the triggers. I don't want to be saying, okay, so how can I help myself?
Great.
Sit down and do a not cost analysis. Do a check. To yourself, be true.
Do a behavioral analysis.
Check it. When am I most? Thank God for our flow up as babes. We know when we're ovulating, when you're very horny. When am I
guys
most?
will know they ovulate.
No, guys are always horny. No. It's not a joke, but
you can't make a generic statement.
No, don't lie, but it is true. But you guys are always on. They don't have a timeline like babe. Like they don't have that one period where they are they are almost always okay. They're almost always honey, right? But I'm just saying that know I can speak, but you know when it's that time of the month when your body is on the way. That's not the time you should not be telling your friend. Yoruba say Aramiwa alone. No, like
okay, but I'm not Yoruba, and they're like Igbo people, Deltons and houses watching.
Let's finish this episode so that don't look up my DM. Look up my DM. So
they definitely will.
I'm just saying that you know when some of these things are coming. Yeah. That's not the time to now be engaging in. There's some conversation that you have on a normal day when nothing's wrong with you that you don't even think about. And there's some conversation that you have when it's that time and everything looks like it. I know there's some jokes we see on Instagram.
You made one today.
Not to air, but like when you're in the gym and everything reminds you about her. Only you go to the gym every time. And the things are normal. But because
that timeline,
you are in that space, everything will remind you. It's even innocent conversations. You now start looking for the person's number that you should not call. Supposed to be heard. Okay, let's end on this note. I know we've said a lot of things, but
I wanted to say 4 things. We started with celibacy is possible, but celibacy cannot be done without the right community and the right accountability and the right methodologies or mechanisms, right? Number 2, you have to be true to yourself. Number 3, I'm a very, very big believer in writing the vision and making it plain. I don't believe in knowing things in the mind.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't even want to type it. I want to use paper and biro. You write down the things that trigger you. And you need to see it. You know that thing about face your fears. You need to look at it and say, Bola triggers me. Boma, I'm serious.
When Bola wears that body
Bola, sorry, let me just stick to Boma.
Or when Bode wears that.
Do you understand?
Body fit.
Sometimes it's that person in your office. There's a way that they just are around you. That's just
perfume.
Sexual.
That perfume.
Sometimes it's the perfume. Sometimes it's the way the voice on the phone.
And I hear that my voice can do things to people.
As I was saying, lack of focus, it plenty much. Look at the serious moments we are in. Look at where you went to. As I was saying, my dears, let her not distract us. She has reached a little bit of where she's going. You people and I, we are still on journey. Let's not follow her.
I'm on the journey. I need help.
So please, let's face ourselves. Our time need that. We don't need ourselves, right? So that number 3 is very important, writing it down, because what that does for me is oftentimes I go back to my phone where I snapped it and I just look at it. When I see that person's call, I'm like, no. Now devil they send you just no say na devil, because every time we talk there's nothing of value to my life aside from dragging me to the place of sin, and it never starts out that way, but we end up circling one way or another to this point. So there's no need to talk. Text me about what important. Text me if it's important. If there's something else aside from that conversation, let's get it out of the way. So because also if you're being true to yourself, like I said in number 2, the reason you're picking that color and indulgence is because you love the attention. You like how it makes you feel.
But you know now.
Why you like how it makes you feel is because you have not gotten to the point where you feel those things for yourself on your own. You're looking for externals to help you feel it up.
How can you...
allow me to feel
No, on this point, say you feel you can't feel by yourself.
No, it's an emotion.
Okay.
See, if I feel whole enough with myself, I wouldn't desire somebody I know can't give me what I truly need.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because this is not a need, it's a want. Do you understand now?
I understand.
You still want to argue that on that side?
No. I'm going to say sorry. Let's just say sorry. Okay. I'm not going to say.
You're not normal today, this girl. This Ankara you're wearing. Is it something is not okay somewhere? We'll find it. The last thing I wanted to say is you cannot, and this is not a Boma, you can't say, I can't say without an iota of doubt, you cannot go on the journey of celibacy for any other reason outside of yourself.
Okay. True.
And you cannot make it to the place you want to get to without God. I don't see how.
And on that note,
I don't
guys,
see how.
we call it an episode. To be honest, a lot of things though, but maybe just maybe we'll do a part 2. It doesn't necessarily
let
have
me
to
do
be
like this.
on
To look into the
celibacy.
comrade.
Right.
Ọ̀rọ̀ pọ̀ nù omi àgbọn. Word and talk plenty in water of coconuts. Coconuts and where àgbọn wey dey use soft corn. We need to buy corn today.
All right, guys. And on this note, and again, so feel free.
On this note and again.
No. So I wanted to tell them where they can find like Medium.
Yes, tell them.
So like, just go on Medium and do Dear Celibros and Celicies, or Dear Celibate Brothers and Celibate
Medium,
Sisters.
did they just type medium.org?
If you search for it on Google, I'm sure you find. Or we'll link it, for people that are watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
We'll put the link to where you can go. And beyond me, there's so many nice videos on YouTube that I watch myself when,
what? I just felt in my spirit that somebody will be saying, but I want to have a conversation with somebody. I personally believe that our Instagram handles are there. You can reach out to Kofo and have conversations with her because it helps. It's a journey you've gone through, you've written about, and you've had people tell you their personal stories. So if you feel like this podcast was not enough, because it seems like we've said so much and it can be an overload of information, you don't even know where do I start from when you've heard all of these things, you can reach out to us, right? I mean, like I said, we're all on this journey together, but our boss.
No. Please.
And with that, we're signing out. See you on the next episode of Flow with KB. You already know how we do it over here. We keep it real. The energy is pure. The cruise and the vibe is 100 always.